Hello everybody. Let us move towards the next 4 steps of disciplining. Any disciplining technique works only when the child is appreciated enough. Only when you appreciate the child for all the right behaviors, the child is ready to listen to all your rules and regulations. So remember, before you use any disciplining technique, appreciate the child enough. In fact, use the sandwich approach. Appreciate, give the feedback, appreciate again. Let's move to 4 other techniques. Consequence is one important disciplining technique which can be used for slightly elder children. There are 2 types of consequences, natural and logical. Natural consequence helps the child understand that if I do something wrong or inappropriate, I will have to bear the consequence of it naturally. Logical consequence is when you explain what could happen if the child doesn't behave appropriately. Just to give you example, if the child has played with the toys and is not ready to wind up the toys, the natural consequence is the child will miss out on or would lose some important toys from the toys he's just played with, and he won't get toys to play with. So the child himself understands that if I don't keep my things appropriately, I will lose out on them, and the best way to ensure that I have my toys back in its place is to tidy them up. Logical consequence is when you explain this thing to the child, and this will work for slightly elder children, say 4 or 5 year olds. You tell the child that if you don't pick up the toys right now, you would not get the toys to play with because you'll either lose them or you will not find them. The child then understands the importance of tidying up, and there are higher chances that the child will stick up to the rule. The next disciplining technique that you can follow, which most of us follow, is taking away the privilege. For example, if the child is watching the screen for 2 hours and you don't want the child to do that, and you want the child to watch the screen only for half hour, but the child doesn't listen to you, the best thing is to take away the privilege, which means take away the screen time from the child. You tell the child, I had told you to watch the television only for half an hour, but because you didn't follow the rule, you would not get screen time for the next 1 week. Another technique that you can follow is timeout. This is a wonderful technique, but is often misunderstood as punishment. Timeout is not punishment. Timeout is basically allowing the child to settle his emotions in a corner which doesn't have any distraction. Timeout technique is equivalent to the ear of the child. For example, you use 1 minute for 1-year-old child, 5 minutes for a 5-year-old child, 6 minutes for a 6-year-old child. So basically what you're telling the child is, you need to be in this place for some time to introspect whether your behavior was appropriate or not. For example, if the child had just thrown toys out of the balcony, you take the child and ask him to sit in the most boring corner of your house, or the most, for educators, the most boring corner of the school, and tell the child that you have just thrown the toys and I don't think it is right. You need to take your time out to understand whether it was right or wrong. So you take the child in the most boring corner, and the child should not be distracted with screen or with some interesting toys or some interesting activities. The child is seated by himself or herself, away from the family members or away from friends in the classroom, and there's nobody talking with the child. This sudden sense of exclusion makes the child think about his behavior. After the amount of time is done, you take the child back into the classroom or back into the family, and you won't discuss anything with the child. Most of the adults end up discussing with the child after timeout that, if you don't behave appropriately again, I will make you sit in the timeout corner again. This is not a warning you're giving to the child. It is just a technique that you're using, a process that you're using for the child to understand that his behavior was not right. So follow time out and follow the consequence method and obviously taking away privilege, and let us know how you fared with all the disciplining techniques. Thank you so much. Happy parenting.